Hello YouTube. This is going to be a video on the 7x7 spiral cube. I finally got this thing done. I've been putting it off for actually quite a while simply because it was a lot of work. And on my last video I said I was going to do it today, so here it is. This puzzle is very closely, it's very similar to the 5x5 spiral cube. So this 5x5 version turns where you offset all the layers and then it turns. So you've seen that before. So this is the 7x7 version of that. And it has some interesting, like, just these faces look very, very weird. And if you didn't know exactly how it turned, it would be very difficult to wrap your head around it. Because you see on this one, I mean, yeah, it's pretty clearly messed up. And yeah, and the fact that everything is messed up kind of takes away from the effect. Same with on this cube, it's really messed up the faces. This is the 7x7 cutter cube. And yeah. And this one though, it has quite a bit of pieces that appear solved. As you can see, these pieces, they look solved. You get this whole section here that looks solved with just this messed up part in the middle. So you might be thinking, okay, maybe it's a bandaged cube, but like these axes don't turn, so obviously it doesn't turn like this. You also got these interesting, it's like a little staircase. It goes big, smaller, 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 smaller. This piece actually has such a small little sticker on it that on some faces I simply couldn't fit the sticker on there. So some of the stickers I've already peeled off, and all I've done is put it into a checker pattern. I've also kind of figured out an interesting checker pattern for these cubes. So you spiral it, and then you do a checker pattern on the ordinary sides, and then you just unspiral it. And you get this neat little checker pattern kind of thing going on. And that's all I've done with it, and already some of those little stickers have peeled off, so clearly it's not going to last. So it's just sort of for, might as well put them on just for once, just for this video. Now this cube was completely stickered with ISO stickers, so I've used the exact same set on my ordinary 7x7, so they're an exact match for colors, which kind of looks nice. This cube here has similar but not quite the same shades. It's got a darker blue, so it's kind of out of that. But anyways, and another interesting note: this sticker is this puzzle is completely stickered with a 7x7 set, or two 7x7 sets. All the stickers have been cut out of 7x7, and the thing is though, these pieces right here are bigger than a 7x7 sticker, so it might be a little hard to see. Sorry I'm not filming in HD, it takes too long and it's not the time. You can kind of see lines. Those are actually made out of two different stickers, so that's kind of why. The quality of this puzzle overall, when how it turned out, pretty good. It's like the centers are really nice. Sorry I can't really get too much of a close-up, but the centers are incredibly nice. It looks mass-produced or whatever, but the edges, I can't seem to get edges on these puzzles to turn out too awesome. On the 5x5 it's not bad, these edges. On the 7x7 cutter cube it's pretty good, but still not perfect. But one thing that helped out these edges is having actual edges part of that edge, so it doesn't really count. So yeah, on this one it's pretty good, but it's a 5x5, pretty easy to get. On this one though, it's just so much going on that it's pretty tough to get a nice solid edge. And then the whole thing is pilloed, and you know, yeah, so this was made out of a YJ cube. I probably would have used a V cube, but I just don't have the money to spend like $40 on a 7x7. I don't really like using knockoffs. Like, I do kind of have a bit of respect for the V-Cube company, simply for just, I guess, the fact that they invented a way to make a 7x7. That's about it though. So I do support V-Cubes. I don't really like using knockoffs too much, but I mean, if I don't have the money, I don't have the money. It's not gonna stop me from making these kind of puzzles. So yeah. So anyways, that's the centers. There's 4 of these messed up centers. All of them look very nice. I personally like the white side because it's the first one I did, so it was kind of a bit, I don't know, I really liked it. So anyways, that's about that. I guess it's time to show the turning of this puzzle. So you can see, magically, got a very nice spiral, but could it really turn? Yes, it can. It is a true spiral cube. So it is a cube 7x7 that has been completely spiraled, yet it still turns. And I do something cool like this. So you get that like that, and then you I guess, set this edge, and you got, ooh, a weird looking 7x7 pattern right there. So that looks pretty cool, I gotta say, this one. And it really shows kind of what this cube really is, I guess. Yeah. Like, you got just such a weird looking thing. Like, just the whole look of this puzzle like that, so it's pretty awesome. And then it's pretty clearly just put back, so I'll do a quick checker pattern. Okay, and then you just reset. You can see that the layers, they look like lines, but then when you reset them, they checker. So it checkers pretty easily. And it's interesting, like, I was surprised at how that worked out. It was kind of cool, because I discovered that, and, you know, you don't, I don't think anybody else in the world right now that has a spiral cube, so it was interesting to figure that one out, and just how well this works. And it's kind of special how this cube and this cube are spiraled. Now, they're spiraled in a way where over the spiral, the top layer does like a U prime. So it does kind of a one spiral cut. And it makes it so the middle layer is exactly 45 degrees. This middle layer is exactly 45 degrees. And then these two are positioned exactly halfway in between that and that. Now, I'm using a technique. I'm not exactly going to give away exactly my method of aligning the layers. I didn't need to use like a measurement or anything. I literally offset it by hand. And I've noticed, and the way I offset it, sorry, I'll just go off topic, allows it to have these little staircase kind of looking things. Now the way I offset it, just the method I use, I only use visual cues from the puzzle, and it does an extremely good job. It, to my knowledge, works on the 4, the 5, the 6, the V-Cube 7, not sure about Xing Xiao. But strangely enough, it doesn't work on the 9x9. Now I can use the barrel to test this concept. It's essentially the same thing. It doesn't work. For some reason, the Xing Xiao 9x9 does not follow this rule that can make these two puzzles so cleanly. Now I'm not sure about the 11x11. I would really hope that the 11x11 could do that, but again, I'm not quite sure. In fact, actually, you know what? I'm going to tell people how to do it just so that I could see. I could ask people to test them. So basically, you'll get this middle layer. And what you're going to do is you're going to offset this piece to this piece so the lines match up. So simple. And then you go this piece to this piece. Till the lines match up, and then you go, okay, this piece to this piece. Lines match up, and then you go this piece to this piece. Till the lines match up, you go this piece to this, you get the point. One last one. The results is an exact 90-degree turn, with this piece being exactly 45 degrees, these two pieces being exactly halfway, like perfectly evenly spaced. And it's weird how it works. So if any of you guys have an 11 by 11, and you could just test that, so you offset using that method, you would have to do it 11 times, obviously, not 7. And if you guys could tell me that, does it create a 90-degree turn perfectly? I'm not just saying close, and I'm not just saying like really close, I'm saying perfectly, with this middle layer being 45 degrees, and if it can, that'd be interesting to see. I just realized something about the 9 by 9. Let's see if it works. So you go and you offset this piece to here, so you turn, 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 turn. Just have to remember which one's the middle. Okay, turn, and turn. The results, I can't tell. Looks just about right, actually. No, it's one too many. So this is not quite exactly parallel, and this one's not quite exactly halfway in between. It doesn't work on the 9 by 9, and I don't know why. But anyways, enough stalling. You guys want to see this thing scrambled, so here it goes. Alright. This test of the turning. I don't know much about it. It has the same edges, you know, a lot of the same stuff already covered on the 5x5 version. 5x5 version, super easy to solve. I assume this is going to be pretty easy to solve. I don't find mods hard to solve anymore. I've just solved quite a few different kinds. And really, now that I know commutators, I mean, it's like the centers just aren't that hard anymore. Or you can use commutators. That's how I solved the 9 by 9 barrel, because you can use commutators. And yeah, I'm already noticing something I noticed on the 5x5. The amount of solved edges of the original 7x7 just really dampers the effect of the scrambling, like of the shape shifting. Sure, like this is a pretty colorful jumbled mess, and you know it's definitely something different, but the amount of solved edges really just, I don't know why, but since you can see a lot of the original cube which this came from, it somehow loses a bit of its effect. And I noticed that a lot on the other spiral cube, and that's why it's not quite my perfect, that's why I still prefer barrels over the spiral cubes, because in the barrels it's such a pure shape-shifting. It's nothing but shape-shifting. The only not shape-shifted pieces are the centers and everything else. So it definitely, having a whole face that is totally unshape-shifted, 2 whole faces actually, it's not enough. And then of course that happens with this cube, which even to a much more extreme level on this cube, because every single one of this kind of edge it's fine. So you'll always see this corner, this, and this being a perfect edge. So it really, even though this is cool and it creates minor shape-shifting actually, and it's really easy to solve, it just, yeah. So this steps it up. It's not quite the same level of shape-shifting, I'd say, as the 9 by 9 or even the 5x5 barrel. So yeah. So that's about it. Just trying to think here. There was this channel. I decided I was gonna do a quick shout out. There will be a link in the description to the channel. It's a guy, and he's just starting out on cubing, and he asked me if I could do a shout out in one of my videos. Just saying people check out the channel. I was like, okay, but you know, could you do a couple videos just to see that you're still doing videos and stuff, I guess. And he had this like stop motion, so yeah, I was like, hey, maybe you could make like a couple more stop motions, and he got 2 of them done in the past day, and they're pretty good. One of them is Pyraminx, and the other one is a what is it? A super floppy cube, I believe. Yeah. So anyways, I'll have a link to all those videos and stuff. I'm trying to remember what's like the blank imagination, maybe. I'm not sure, something like that. I can't remember for sure, so I'm sorry about that if you're watching. Now I want to quickly point out something really quickly before I go. Here's a case that really throws me off. Now it's this. Now it's aligned right now, so this turns, but it looks so much like an edge. If you're just looking at this as an edge, sometimes you would want to just align this up with the other edges, and then you got misalignments. So it's something you got to be careful of. It's kind of cool because it looks like an edge, but it can actually be split right at that corner. And then, oh look, I've replaced it with something, so you got a white and yellow looking edge, which obviously can't happen, so you'd be running into troubles there. Anyways, now I'm going to go solve this. I don't know when I'm going to get around to it. I've been doing a lot of practicing on my events that I'm doing in the competition, so maybe I'll solve it on the way there, because it's going to take a while to solve this, or maybe like, you know, half hour or something. So yeah, that's about it. It doesn't turn quite as good as I thought. I would have hoped a little better turning out of that. A quick semi close-up. This camera doesn't zoom again. Then again, my HD camera doesn't actually zoom, so that sucks. So a lot of these pieces I've seen a lot in my mods. Little triangles, I call them house pieces. I really like the house pieces in my solves. You get the little house center, which you see exactly on the 7x7 cutter cube. You got these little square house pieces, I call them, little triangles, like shape land. Got little triangle pieces going into the cube, you know, you can see a little bit of the mechanism. You get this very interesting little bar here. It goes from like slightly, it's just flat, and then it goes doot doot doot. So you can kind of see that, and then you got this piece down here, so you can really see a lot of that piece. Yeah, it's just a really cool cube when it's scrambled. So I really like it. It reminds me a lot of this cube and this cube, obviously. So these are kind of same in a series, I guess. And then the barrels are it's in a league its own. It's way harder to solve. Also, one last quick note before I go. This video is getting a bit long, 18 minutes. So yeah, this cube has very few mirrored pieces. In fact, it only has one mirrored piece, and that is a piece that already comes up in the V cube by being mirrored. It's basically this piece and this piece. So these two, they're mirrored of each other. Now, for actual modified pieces, there is no mirrors, not a single one. There's only 6 different kinds of pieces in the entire puzzle, which is drastically different from my estimation of roughly 60 different kinds of pieces in this puzzle. So, 60, and this one's just 6. Or 6 modified, and then maybe like 4 or 5 more. So maybe 10. How about 10? 10. 60. Now, I did have a harder time assembling this one though, simply because so few mirrors means that when you're making one corner at a time, the same piece comes up actually quite a few times in different angles, and it's sometimes a bit confusing. So that's about it. The overall quality of the mod, very, very happy with it. It turned out much better than I thought, actually. I'd consider this sale worthy. I've decided I'm not going to sell the 9x9 barrel. It's not there. I was literally under a deadline when I made this of only a couple days. If I wanted it to be a world record, which was the only reason why I made it, so yes. That's about it. Thank you for watching.